won't hear the sound of the vuvuzela at the World Cup after South Africa sadly failed to qualify for next summer's tournament in Brazil. And despite the arrival of Tequilo Ranty, I don't think there's been a single vuvuzela blasting out around Dean Court. Some might say thank goodness for that, but I'd be prepared to put up with a din if he banged in a few more like the one at Burnley, because my name's Michael and this is All Departments.
Here come the cherries and we're heading for the top of the tree. Bournemouth is a team that's going to show Division 3. Here come the leaders and the scorers at the Saturday, showing how to win the Southern way. So we sing, come on Bournemouth, come on Bournemouth. While you're out there winning, hear the shouting and the singing. We sing, come on Bournemouth, come on Bournemouth. Here come the cherries, here come the cherries, here come the cherries, number one.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of All Departments. There's been a bit of a reality check at Dean Court over the past month, as the closure of the Legends Bar has seen the Kings Park Cafe triple its takings on match days. Also nursing a healthy bank balance is Lewis Grabban, who has been rewarded for his goal-scoring exploits in the Championship with a new contract to 2016. It's anyone's guess how many goalkeepers the Cherries will have got through by the time our top scorer's contract is up, with Lee Camp, the current custodian, following injury and illness, striking down Ryan Alsop, Darren Flahaven and poor old Stephen Henderson. Henderson's West Ham teammate Jack Collison returned to Upton Park following his loan spell, whilst former Hammers boss Harry Redknapp released his autobiography and celebrated 30 years since his appointment as manager at Dean Court by echoing the sentiments of all right-thinking people when he stated that Bournemouth is my club and I absolutely love it. Now, many players have come and gone over the years at Dean Court. Some of them do okay, and some haven't been so good, whilst a select few win a place in the hearts of us fans that leads us to describe them as legends. One man who definitely falls into the latter category is John Williams, and I spoke to him recently about his long association with the mighty Cherries. Willo, welcome to All Departments.
Thank you very much.
So, going right back to the beginning, you signed for us from Port Vale in December 1986. Harry Redknapp was the manager then. Do you remember much about how the deal went through?
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously, I'd heard a little bit of a rumour around Port Vale, as you normally do, and I'd had a call from Colin Clark, in actual fact, who was a Bournemouth player at the time, and as are the way these things are done, he said, would you be interested in coming south? And we just won promotion at Port Vale, and things were hunky-dory. I'd just signed a new contract and bought a new house, and Colin Clark, he phoned me and he said, how would you be interested? And I said, well, you know, I'm having a great time here. I've just won player this season. They love me, I love them, and not really, to be honest. I'm quite happy, but Rudgy came on to me, the manager, and said, well, look, I'm in a bit of a fix. I've got to get some players in, and Harry's made me a good offer. Go and talk to him. So, I wasn't too happy. Once people say they want you to go, then there's not much reason to stay behind. Next day, I headed down to Bournemouth. Met up with Harry at Dean Court first. Took me to La Lupa, as I remember it. People who lived in Bournemouth a long time, I don't think it's called La Lupa now, but it's still there, the Italian. Yeah. Took me there for some lunch, and I loved him straight away. The geezer's got, something about him, hasn't he? There's an aura, an era, whatever you want to call it. He's absolutely top drawer, and we hadn't even talked money, and unless barring an absolute disaster, there was no way I wasn't going to sign. We got back to the ground, and Brian Tyler come in, done the money bit, and I was more than happy to sign, and miss Brian immensely, and just reading Harry's book at the moment. That's flavour of the month, and there's some great stories in there if you haven't read the book.
I've just finished reading it, actually. He describes you as a bit of a lad, but he loved you.
Well, we did have the team that won promotion that season. In actual fact, the season I came, was made up of various characters, but there were one or two, your Mark Newsons, your Paul Morells, your Richard Cooks, who liked the social side of life as well, and without taking any liberties, we did live it to the full. I mean, we decided, especially myself, coming from Liverpool town centre down to Bournemouth, I thought I'd sign for somewhere abroad. It was absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure it was something similar for Mark Newson and Cookie. When you come to this place, and I didn't realise later, of course, that was the trick that the managers and the staff did to you. As I learned that later on, we didn't sign the players, we signed the wives. The first thing we'd do, if we were interested in a player, we'd get him down here with his wife and kids. We had a great relationship with Tony Partridge out at Homefield School, who would put the kids in school, and my wife would take the ladies off, making sure it was a route via Sandbanks, whichever way it was, around the one-way system, and all along the coast. We'd make sure the lad had some lunch with us, then we'd perhaps go down towards the coast and have a chat down there, and let's be honest, who wouldn't be impressed with them sort of things going on? It was absolutely a real asset to have them sort of things, without a doubt, and invariably it paid off. Like I say, I think we signed the wife and not the player on numerous occasions, but they convinced me that way as well, so no doubt about that one there.
Going back to when you arrived, you made your debut on Boxing Day and you scored. That was away at Bristol Rovers, and the next day we had a game 2 days in a row in those days, and we were at home to Fulham. You scored in that one as well, so you immediately endeared yourself to the fans.
Mate, you know when you walk in somewhere, you're looking for a new house, and I don't know, I've had 4 places in my life, and it's a case of when you walk in, immediately this is the place. You're going to be all right here, and that's just how it was for Bournemouth. This was a life-changing move for me in more ways than one. Not just football. I knew pretty much very quickly I was going to set my life up to live down here, no matter if as I did, I went away to Cardiff for a couple of years and come back, and but I always kept the place here, and long may it continue.
And after you arrived, we only lost twice in the league until we won it.
Yeah,
at Fulham, and you missed one of those games.
Yes.
So you're obviously key to our form.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we were. I think we had a nice little mixture. The 2 fullbacks were fantastic, Mark Hewson and Paul Morell. Mark Whitlock was excellent for me. Something that got mentioned in when Harry was talking to me about signing with Brian Tyler. In actual fact, they were looking for somebody to head the ball, and they couldn't have said a better thing, because this was my best asset, and so it all fell into place. As I say, Mark Whitlock was very quick, and just tucked in behind me just in case I missed one occasionally, and the 2 fullbacks were good defenders and could get forward as well. And, I mentioned the rest of the team at this time because it was a team. Cookie right wing, Mark O'Connor left wing, Sean O'Driscoll, Tony Pulis, Trevor, Big Trevor, and Carl Richard up front. Not a team of superstars, so to speak. You have a lot of teams that have one that stands out. Wasn't the case with us. We're all mucked in. I think you see that by the goals. I think everybody in the team scored, but I think even Mark Whitlock got one. I think so. It was that sort of season in terms of all hands to the pumps.
Do you remember much about the celebrations at the end of the season after the Fulham and Rotherham games, or was it
yes.
a bit of a haze?
Well, the Fulham situation. That was it 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock kickoff? It was definitely an early one. It was bank holiday, I think, and it was tense. It was horrible. It was a windy day. I remember getting my head on a few balls and thinking, if we can get them to half time, we'll have a switch round here. We'll be okay, because the wind it did help. We couldn't get up the pitch very well. They'd had a shot in the second half. Was already in the net, but I tried to clear it, and that put them at 1-up. And not long after, I think they missed a penalty. They may have missed it beforehand. As the years go on, and you talk to people about these things, these are as I remember them. You will know better, and if you've got books in front of them, but the memory comes and goes. People talk about different teams and different eras, and you played with him, and you played with him, and sometimes you could possibly have only been connected with that player for like 2 games, and he moved on, but he's stuck in an era where for a whole season. So bear with me with my times and dates. I'm pretty good with the facts, but times and dates might be a bit tricky. But the Fulham game anyway, Tony Seeley, we turned around, Tony Seeley hit one with the wind, flew in the top corner, and just seeing them people behind the goal at Fulham was one of the most amazing. Well, it sticks with me to this day. That was such a feeling to see that amount of people all come from Bournemouth, and we shared it with them afterwards, and just being on that in the bar afterwards, and you couldn't pick anywhere better than Fulham, because the bar is on the Thames. It's absolutely, you'd pick there to go for some lunch with your missus type of thing. Absolutely beautiful, and the champagne's going, and the lads are going crazy, and some of the supporters had got into the bar, and it was fantastic. And that was the better the day for sure. With the travel back, well, the journey lasted. It seemed like 10 minutes, but we absolutely flew back. And I remember going back to the hotel, just relaxing, having a bit of a shower, and everybody arranged to meet in a bar in town at 6 o'clock, and about 4 turned up. Everybody was either too drunk, or too tired, or whatever. But the usual gang, I think Morel, Newson, Cook, we were definitely there for sure, and I think we had a couple of hours, and that was it, because we enough was enough, we'd say. But as regards the celebrations and the way they went, they followed on long after that. We'd made history for the football club, and we were honoured to play in a team, and it was a team that Harry'd built from scratch, and to this day, people still talk about that team, and it's great to hear.
And going up into the Championship, it's called the second division back then. Did that feel like a big step when you entered that division?
Well, I can remember again. We're on the beach in Portugal. Harry took us there pre-season training, and the fixtures came out, and Jerry Payton's gone, "Have you seen these?" And you look at them, and I think the Birminghams, your Aston Villas, your Chelsea's, and you think, we can't win a game here. You just can't. But you play a few games, and we started okay. As you can have a look in the league tables yourself, where I think after 6 or 7 games we were third or something like that. And while this was going on, we were playing the games, of course. You start measuring yourself, and an awful lot of these boys who we were playing against, certain individuals anyway, you'd come across them earlier in your career anyway. FA Cup games, David Speedy for instance, played at Darlington for years. We used to smash him to bits at Darlington. All of a sudden, he goes up 2 leagues and he's a superstar, for Chelsea at that time. And you Kerry Dixons, who was a particular handful. But people like this had done well for themselves and moved up into teams. And I thought after a certain amount of time, this ain't quite as tricky as I thought it was going to be. I think we're doing okay here, and we picked up results, and we were going okay in the league, and it was a real treat to play in. He started not fearing games, or I don't think he ever feared games, but not worrying about games so much. If you did go to Leeds, you weren't going to Jackie Charlton and Billy Bremner. You were going to Leeds of that particular time, and having said that, they did have your Batties and your Gordon Strackens. They were pretty good, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was that daunting, but and I know a lot of the lads didn't. I think that's what's happening here now, just with the club as well. I think at the start of the season you worry and all the rest of it. As the season's going on, I think they're getting stronger, and they're thinking, well, we're playing against some right good teams here, Forest, Leicester, and there's no reason why we can't go on and make a good job of this.
And we had a couple of good seasons in the Championship, but the final season, I think you must have got injured, did you?
I didn't play.
You didn't play towards the end, and that was really when we went on a bad run.
Well, not just, we had the one thing about our football club at that time was we had maybe 16 pros. It was, and if anybody got injured, we had an awful lot of luck in the promotion year where we kept everybody fit. But I think it was the second season or the third season, was it? I dislocated my shoulder, had an Achilles problem. That done me for that particular season. Mark Newson, I remember him doing his Achilles. Mozzie done an ankle injury. I think Kevin Bond, who it was at that time, he got injured. And even Jerry Payton, I'm sure, who never missed a game, even he got done for a spell. And if you take the back four away from our club, which was quite an important aspect, of course, to the team, you can't lose that many players. Things are going to happen, and of course they did. Things did happen, but do you remember much about that game against Leeds? I had a flat down Boscombe Beach. And the thing I remember, I'd had my operation and I was in a sling, and the Leeds supporters, they were partying from the moment they got here. The game was on a Monday. Is that right? I can't remember. It was definitely a bank holiday. Yeah. I think the game was on a Monday. Well, it was. They partied from Friday night till the game. They were drinking the whole time, the whole afternoons, and the bongos were going in the flat. I knew there was going to be problems, but anyway, we get to the day of the game, and I decided to I wouldn't take my car or get a lift in just in case. Got a taxi in, and we got to the men's club at Kings Park by the pub, the Portman, and the taxi driver said, "We're not going to, John. You're going to have to walk it." So I got out of the car, and I'm walking across the Kings Park on my own. Now I've got the club blazing on and all the rest of it, and there's Leeds fans, and the horses are going up and it's going off, and I'm thinking, what have you done here? If someone recognises you, you're going to get a right pasting, But fortunately, I got talking to these Leeds lads, and that I said I played in the previous game at Leeds, and they were great. We walked up together, and I got inside and all the rest of it. Now I was doing the radio that day. Now, you remember, it was in a little box in the corner of Dean Court, and as we were in there, we put the car park for the Solent car was just down below, but they turned the car over as well, so we're in there, and you're thinking, what's coming next? Are they coming up to us? And so there was an awful lot of action off the pitch. I mean, the game, I remember Paul Miller missing a header, and the big centre forward scored, didn't he? Chapman scored. Header. Yeah. And that's, that's probably all the memories I want to have about it, because it was an absolute disaster. It couldn't have been planned any worse. If you'd sat down and looked at it months before and gone, this is the worst way we'll possibly do this. And it was horrible, of course, a terrible way to go down. And then you left in December of 91. You went off to Cardiff. Yeah. What happened there? It was a case I'd been injured. They came in for me. I went up there on loan to start with, and they made a bid for me, and I got injured in the last game. Come back, tore a bit of cartilage actually, not a bad one. Got myself fit, and the move was back on, and I went to Cardiff. Unfortunately, we got promoted there as well. Different sort of place, Cardiff to Bournemouth, real big city. The Welsh people and their fans very, very passionate about their football and their rugby, of course. But I had a great time there. But Tony Pulis asked me if I wanted to come back and do the School of Excellence, and I jumped at the chance. Anything to get back here and get involved again was just what I wanted.
And you had a few well-known players coming through that School of Excellence. You had Eddie Howe there, didn't you?
Yes, of course, Eddie, Carl Fletcher, Carl Broadest at the time, Towner, just Mossy, lots of these weren't my ones, by these we'd inherited these from Stuart Morgan. It's a fact that you don't see the fruits of your work until 4 or 5 years down the line when you're dealing with youth, and often by that time somebody else has got your job. And so that was the case with the likes of them boys. I think Carl Fletcher. Well, it was actually Mike Trusson, and I'd call Mike Trusson who brought these your Eddies and your Carl Fletchers through, but. It was some real good youngsters at that time, and eventually Mel came back to the club, and after Tony got sacked, we went in. We went in charge and picked the team. Me and myself, Mark Morris, Sean O'Driscoll, sorry, but took pick a team. The team picked itself. We had 8 players and 2 kids, and that was it. It's what we had to do, and Sean, who was the physio at the time as well, Sean played. It was all we had. I think it was dire times, and Mel came in and of course turned it all around. The Great Escape, and your Neil Youngs, your Robbos, your people like that. Absolutely. Well, Matthew was just a little bit after that. That's one of them ones again. He was there, but he didn't play all the time. Matty, his season was the next one. But great times and great lads. They were a special bunch. Fletcher's, of course, it's his time as well. Although he seems to be imprinted over the last quarter of a century with Bournemouth.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I remember that season well, staying up. It was just fantastic, wasn't it? I went to the game Brentford away. It was the kind of day when it really sticks in your mind as you reach a level of an emotional high that you don't get that often in football. Not as high as that. It was absolutely fantastic.
I agree with you. I think Scott Means smashed one in from low down, a really well-hit ball. And Jonesy... Steve Jones, as he often did, one-on-one with the keeper and won us the game. The funny thing that I remember about that time is it was really emotional because our fans were all behind the goal, and the players and we come running over. Oh, what a geezer!
Well done, everyone.
Thank you so much.
The ones with the staff, I've put the initials underneath, so JT there, EH.
See, I told you Fletcher was a good lad, didn't I? If you need a sound ball, he's very good to you.
I've always liked him.
Yeah. But getting back to the Brentford game, I was on the pitch and I was running towards our fans, and it was really, really emotional. We'd given ourselves a chance.
Because they were high up the league, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were.
Might have been top.
I think. And anyway, we got home that night, and it happened to be on the telly, and I could see myself, and I thought I was running. That was when I knew. From that point on, I'd gone. I couldn't run anymore. It looked like I was walking, and I was flat out. So that was the end of me for getting around the place. But the day itself was fantastic, and of course led us into the Shrewsbury one, didn't it? Which
3-0 that one, wasn't it?
3-0. We were in the bathroom at the time. The lads, there's some warming their feet up in the bath. Someone's stretching, all the rest of it, and it was all pretty tense at that particular time, because we'd done so much hard work, and to think to fail then would have been absolutely sickening. But it wasn't the case. I remember saying, have we got any heroes in here? And Robbo was there straight away. Robbo was fantastic, as was John Bailey, as was Youngie. You could go through them all. These lads had not only good players but good characters as well, and they were just waiting to be heroes. And I think Robbo and Scott Mean scored, did they, on the night?
I think all the goals were early as well, weren't they?
Well, in about 20 minutes,
yeah.
And didn't there was somebody watching from. No, was that our last game, the Shrewsbury game?
That was the last one. Yeah, we went 3-0 up and we stayed up.
Yeah, there's a previous game where we were playing somebody, and we scored. We went bang, 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 scored, and the team. And I think it was. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Shrewsbury, but their people were in the director's box, and they were backing on the motorway after 20 minutes.
They'd seen enough.
Yeah, seen enough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not long after that, we went very close to going out of business. We had those scenes at the Winter Gardens, and didn't the trust pay your wages for a while?
Well, listen, there wasn't a lot of money going round. I had 3 months where I didn't get paid, but I wasn't the only one. Lots of people at the time were doing what we could to scrimp and save, and you always hoped there was something at the end of the tunnel. And Bournemouth have been fantastic to me over the years, so I was more than happy to do it without being paid. But you couldn't walk away. There was no way the club was going to go under or fold. There was too many people who just felt so passionately about it, and we're just not going to let it happen. The Winter Garden showed that epitomised for me what it was all about, our football club. It wasn't even a football match, for goodness sake, and that amount of people to turn up and to show that they were behind the whole thing. And I knew we'd be okay after that night.
Yeah, it was brilliant that we survived. It would have been terrible to think of having a town without a football club. Just going back to the trust paying your wages, that was a very popular move amongst the fans. You've been really popular with the fans over the years. What's it like to be held in such high esteem by all the people in the town?
Well, I think first of all, the feeling's mutual. It's I think you get a certain amount of respect by the way you play. I knew very early on I wasn't going to be in Bishop in my playing career, so there were certain things that I had to get good at and be better than anybody else. And also one of the things that I found with Bournemouth Football Club was if you have a right go, they'll love you forever. And I think your O'Driscolls and your people like that. I tried to get myself in that situation where, that week in, week out, I was always going to be 100+%. I wouldn't always be able to hit the heights of your, let's say, your Cookies or your Matty Hollands or your Steve Joneses or your people like that who really good players. But I'll be there for you every week, and I think our supporters sort of, well, they know that you can't fool them, that's for sure, because they've seen too much. They've seen all ends of the spectrum, and they know exactly what people can do and people can't do. And it's a privilege to have played for the football club and worked for the football club, and even now I get to see the games and support the team in a different sort of way via the radio. And I am biased. That's there's no doubt about that. But I try to give honest and correct reports all the time. If it's a penalty for the other team, I'll say so, and I think people respect you from that point of view. And also, I've hit it off with a great lad in Chris Temple, who I know he's one of the crowd or the people who tune into the radio love to hear him as well, and we've got a great little partnership going, and let's hope it lasts another 9 or 10 years.
Absolutely, because Chris had some very nice things to say about you when he came.
Did he? That's unusual.
Last time, but he also had one or two things to say about you falling asleep in the car and
well, if you have to
him.
listen to Chris Temple's stories, and he hasn't got many, by the way, because he ain't done anything. I mean, you're going to fall asleep. I try the best I can, but if he keeps telling me about him saving a penalty when he was 12 for Felix Stowe Junior School, I mean, that's his heavy heights. And to be honest, once you've heard that 3 or 4 times on the journey up as well as back, it gets to be a bit of a sleeper. You know, you start. Sorry, what was that again, Chris? Well, I just got across from my left hand and pushed it round the post, and was it an important game? Yeah, of course we were. You know, we were 15th in the league that season, and so. And I'm getting a little bit older, you know, as we all are, unfortunately. So it has to be pretty stimulating company to keep me awake.
No, I think you and him do a great job on the road. You've obviously got good rapport. One thing the fans really love when we listen to you is your involuntary outbursts, like yes when the goals go in. Do you ever get into trouble with that from the producer?
Well, as of just recently, he says you're on a final warning. You can't. If we're going to start fining you now, you've got to stop it. It's not professional. It's not the people. It comes down the wavelengths, and people can hear it, and it doesn't sound right, and the other commentators don't do it. So they probably won't listen to this, but I don't realise it. You know, once you've got that mic in your hand, I'm not thinking about that when we're going to score. It's the last thing on my mind. So. I can't see that changing, to be quite honest. Whatever feeling I've got at that time, if a mic's close to me and it picks it up, c'est la vie.
No, I think most of the fans hope it doesn't change, and it shows that you feel the same about the football club as we do.
Well, you know, like I say, we've been on a long old road these last 1986 till now, and some highs and lows. This could be a good one for a song, could it? But we seem to have got through an awful lot, and you know, at the moment we're absolutely going along fantastic in this championship, and let's hope we can just keep growing. And who knows? You just never know. Wimbledon did it. You never know. We could get in that Premiership at one stage.
One thing I did want to ask you about in regards to this season is we've seen a lot of changes between the sticks for various reasons. You had Jerry Payton probably pretty much every game throughout your Bournemouth career, which must have been excellent for the back four. With a lot of changes, and that maybe affects us at times, I would think. Well,
you know, there's nothing. We always say the back four, but you include the goalkeeper in that as well, and you know, Jerry at the time was absolutely fantastic for us. Wouldn't be completely different now because Jerry's kicking wasn't the best. Now your goalkeepers, I see some of the stuff they control, and balls knocked back to them with pace. And I wouldn't have fancied one or two myself at times. You know, you'd think if they've got to touch it and they've got the goal wide open behind them, it's a big deal nowadays the way these lads play. It's not an ideal situation. We've had bad luck with injuries. I mean, the boy from West Ham, he dives low down and pops his shoulder. I mean, as I said earlier, I've done that shoulder one myself, and it's not funny, but desperately unlucky. You do build up a rapport with your goalkeeper, there's no doubt about that, but it's something you have to live with, and I would say we've sort of got away with it up to now. I would think so. I don't think any of the goalkeepers that have come in have let us down. Just thinking back, so again, not ideal, but you have to get on with it, and we did have a situation a few years ago, didn't we? We had a string of goalkeepers injured.
I think Marcus Browning might have played in goal.
Didn't we have 4 or 5 goalkeepers in one stretch of the season, and Marcus had to put the old shirt on, but hopefully it won't come down to that, and we can keep playing as we're playing. We've been unfortunate at Forest and Leicester, and games of that ilk are difficult. You know, if sometimes you can't win, but you can pick a draw up, and it's great to see the way the lads are performing. And like I say, I'm really excited. Every Saturday's a big game nowadays, and like I say, long may it continue.
All right then, Willo. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Keep up the good work, and long may you be associated with the club.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Willo there, and big thanks to him for coming on the podcast just minutes before going on air with Radio Solent. Don't forget, if you want to hear any of the previous episodes of All Departments or our post-match show Kangaroo Court, check out the website at www.alldepartments.wordpress.com. You can get in touch by emailing alldepartmentspodcast@gmail.com and follow on Twitter at alldepartments. Now, way back in May when I started the podcast, I released a short preview show featuring this musical tribute to the briefly magnificent Steve Lavelle. His second spell with us didn't last very long, but the fantastic goal he scored in the second leg of the playoff semi-final against Huddersfield is surely enough to justify digging this one out again. So up the cherries in all departments, and goodbye.
When the tackles come hard and ambitions are low, we'll be tarmac the car park and little trees will start to grow. Then along comes a man who will score a goal. Then love will tear you apart again. Love will tear you apart again. We've said goodbye to Pitman and McCoy he chose to go. Maybe Howard's gone up north, Steve's half-brother, don't you know? Danny Ings looks so sharp. Now it's time for Steve to show that love will tear you apart again. Love will tear you apart again. In despair, as defences are exposed, as Steve Lovell bears closer and closer on the goal, as the fans hold their breath, promotion here we go, and love will tear you apart again. Love will tear you apart again. Love will tear you apart again. Love will tear you apart again.